Remember that scene from the first book when Korra started crying in Tenzin's arms and confessed to him that she was scared of Amon? Remember in the finale when Tenzin walked up to Korra and told her how proud of her he was? Remember how that was the final line of the season, accentuating how important his approval was to her? Well, one episode later...
I think it's time I had a new teacher.
Please, I know you're angry, but we've come so far.
I'm sorry, Tenzin. This is as far as we go.
That's right, today we're looking back at The Legend of Korra, Book 2, Spirits. And well, it certainly has spirit. Do note that this is the second video in a series covering The Legend of Korra. The link to the first video is in the description, and the next two should be coming out in a few weeks. But anyways, let's get started. As I mentioned, the first episode of the show has Korra, in a complete shift of her character, fired Tenzin in order to learn about the spirits from her uncle Unalaq instead. Korra is no longer grateful for his support, or anyone else's for that matter. All it takes for her to turn on Mako is for him to tell her father Tonraq that he'll take care of her. Somehow this actually gives Korra the impression that her boyfriend is siding with her father over her, siding with a man he literally just met over his own girlfriend. Later in the season she does this again after Mako simply offers an explanation for the president's decision not to help her. And then when Mako does the right thing and tells the president of Korra's plan, she storms into the police station to argue with him in front of all of his coworkers. Korra acts entirely different this season than she did in the previous one, which is really a shame. Like I said in the last video, Korra is my favorite part of Book 1, but here in Book 2, she's one of the most annoying parts. She acts entitled to everyone's undying support, even when she refuses to support them. This wouldn't have been so bad if the writers gave her a believable reason to justify this change of heart, but all they do is have her mention that she is tired of everyone making decisions for her. Trust me, I get that, but that's not enough of an explanation for this entire shift of her personality. It's crazy. After how badly Mako treated both Korra and Asami in the previous season, I would have bet all my money on Korra breaking up with Mako, not the other way around.
I broke up with her.
Yeah, right! You broke up with the Avatar!
But while Korra is going through all this emotional trouble, as well as some more serious issues we'll get to in a bit, Tenzin takes his family on a vacation to explore all the different air temples. His relationship with his siblings Kaya and Bumi is clearly rocky, and over the course of the season it's made clear why. Apparently Aang was far from what you'd call a perfect father. Given that Tenzin was the only child capable of airbending, Aang greatly favored him. So while Aang took Tenzin on many great adventures, he left Kaya and Bumi behind. The two grew jealous of Tenzin, while Tenzin was blind to his father's flaw, one he himself also fell into. As an adult, he distanced himself from Kaya and Bumi, refusing to let them take part in airbender culture, in their father's legacy, despite the fact that they were just as much a part of it as him. But after seeing his own children fight, he gains the perspective needed to see that he has been acting childish, and apologizes to his siblings.
I've worked so hard to celebrate Dad's legacy that I may have overlooked the parts of him that were less than ideal.
We're sorry for dumping our frustrations with Dad out on you. I thought you two might want to see this. Mom gave it to me before we left.
Aww. Later on, as he watches his son Milo train a lemur, he realizes that being so controlling robs Milo of the simple pleasures of life, a lesson he applies to himself. So Tenzin is beginning to realize that he hasn't been living life to the fullest, a truth that can be traced back to his own childhood, to his relationship with his father. As the only airbender besides Aang at the time, Aang clearly took great strides in preserving airbending culture through Tenzin. This greatly influenced Tenzin's path in life, as even in Book 1, his goal is not to live his own life, but rather to preserve his father's legacy. So in the 13th episode, when Tenzin is lost in the fog of lost souls, desperately trying to remind himself of who he is, he says this:
I am the son of Avatar Aang. I am the hope for future generations of airbenders.
Aang then appears before him and shows Tenzin the error of this way of thinking. And upon hearing his father, the man he has looked up to for so long, the man he has tried so hard to fill the shoes of, tell him this, Tenzin is finally ready to accept the truth. He is not a reflection of his father. He is Tenzin, and that's exactly who he's meant to be. This was a great lesson for Tenzin to learn. Like I said, even in Book 1 he was trying to live up to his father, So watching him come into his own here was, while somewhat slow at times, a perfect use of his character. Again, Tenzin was a flawed character, and still is, obviously. Everyone is. But he certainly did not deserve to be treated so harshly by Korra. And he's not the only one. Not only did she choose Unalaq over Tenzin, but she also chooses Unalaq over her own father in the following episode. Sure, Tonarch did hide something from her for her entire life, but Korra acts like this is a regular occurrence, which it most certainly is not.
Why do you keep hiding things from me and then telling me it's for my own protection?
So rather than stay away from the South Pole like her father begs her to, she goes straight there and opens the spirit portal for Unalaq. And then when she sees Northern Tribe ships approaching the Southern Tribe, she still chooses to trust Unalaq over the people that have stood by her since day one. Korra's blind to the fact that flaws don't make people bad. It's actions that do. Actions like invading an allied tribe and arresting one's brother for a crime he clearly didn't commit. Even after all this, though, Korra still chooses to trust Unalaq.
What is wrong with you?
It's only after hearing the truth straight from the horse's mouth that Korra finally realizes that she's wrong. So she rescues her father and his associates from prison, and with the help of local billionaire Varick, voiced to perfection by the comedian John Higgins, Korra and friends return to Republic City, hoping to rally support for the Southern Water Tribe. While on the topic of Varick, he is definitely the best part of Book 2. While Korra was the comedic center of Book 1, for me at least, Varick is that for Book 2. From the first scene he's in when he thinks he's levitating to his over-the-top escape from prison at the end, he is constantly bringing a sense of humor to his story desperately in need of it. But he's more than just someone to laugh at. He really is a genius. His plan to get rich off the war against the Northern Tribe was incredibly clever. I should have seen it coming, but his eccentric personality was a perfect way to cover his ulterior motives. I really wish his plan had a larger impact on the story though, because it is largely just there to give Mako and Asami something to do in Republic City. And speaking of... once again, Legend of Korra utilizes the awful love triangle trope that, if you watched my last video, you know I absolutely hate. Mako breaks up with Korra, then gets back with Asami literally one episode later. You might be thinking, wait, that's not a love triangle. And you're right, it's not. Not yet anyways. After a near-death experience, Korra suffers from amnesia and does not remember their breakup, so the next time she sees Mako...
Mako, I missed you so much.
I legitimately had to pause the episode for a couple minutes because I thought I knew how awkward the scene would wind up being. But it doesn't get any more awkward, oddly enough. Mako doesn't even remind Korra that they broke up at all, even when given the perfect chance to do so. But what happened to Korra that gave her amnesia? Well, she was attacked by a spirit in the middle of the ocean, then woke up in Fire Nation territory. In order to remember who she is, she has to witness the story of the first Avatar, this dude named Wan. His story, given the abundance of spirits and lion turtles, genuinely felt ancient, a feeling accentuated by the unique animation style. This stark visual contrast to the rest of the series, as well as its predecessor, immediately pulled me in. The story too was far different than anything I was used to in this universe, and that made it all the more interesting. Wan's lack of spiritual knowledge nearly led to the end of the world by the hands of the dark spirit Vatu, but thanks to his mastering of the four elements and his newfound friendship with the light spirit Rava, he was able to make up for his mistake and became the first of many avatars. Like Wan, the avatars are the only humans able to master all four elements thanks to their connection to Rava. The two episodes that told this story were a great explanation for the power of the avatars, as well as an excellent origin story for them. This was definitely the highlight of Season 2, story-wise, because from here on out, the quality of the show goes nowhere but down. It turns out that Unalaq's goal is to free Vatu from the prison Avatar Wan trapped him in. There isn't much of an explanation for this though. He's just a generic villain, evil for the sake of evil, I suppose. So eventually he does just that, and then heads to Republic City, planning to launch a genocide on humanity. The show fully embraces its spiritual side here, and has Korra follow closely behind. I was kinda excited to see them fight, you know? Like, this was definitely a strange turn of events, but hey, when Aang was at the Northern Water Tribe, he too turned into a giant spirit monster, So it's not like this was something entirely new to the lore. What the fuck? It's okay, don't worry. I can explain this. Oh, wait. No, I can't. I don't even know what to say about this, so let's just move on. Thanks to Jinora, Korra wins the fight, and after Tenzin tells her he trusts her, which was really sweet by the way, Korra opts to leave the spirit portals open, so now spirits can roam free on Earth just as they did in the days of Wan. Just as Korra says at the end, they are entering a new age, and as their world enters this new age, the legend of Korra enters a new low. Like, I genuinely don't even know what to say about Book 2. No joke, I literally got sick while watching it, and I blame the show. For everything it gets right, it gets multiple things wrong. Seriously, let's take the good and the bad. So here's the good. Wan's story was pretty great, Tenzin's growth was well done, Varick was funny, and Iroh does make a cameo. But how about the bad? Korra is a jerk, Beifong is an idiot, Unalaq is two-dimensional, Varick's side plots were ultimately pointless, Asami doesn't believe Mako, the love triangle comes back, Korra doesn't pick up on any of Unalaq's red flags, Aubrey Plaza is somehow annoying, Korra's apology to Tenzin was long overdue, and Jinora ruined the kaiju fight. But it does have baby Sky Bison sitting at a table, so Book 2 is a masterpiece.